Hello and welcome to a new video on the Builder Spaceman channel, and today we want to continue on working on the ladder harness, and therefore we start with finishing the shoulder pads. Have fun! So what I want to do today is to shorten these parts off and make it fit at this point, I think, 2 times, and sew this on here, and on here together to make it more stable. And this process should be repeated 2 times because of 2 shoulder pads and 2 points on the shoulder pads. So well, as I want to put on these parts, I need to mark the exact distance between each other so the build or the crafting would be easier and the workpiece would be beautiful. Next step would be gluing this piece on with super glue. After we marked everything, now I need to chisel the holes through as last part, and it's gonna be painful. Have fun! As you can see, I punched the holes through, and now I can start to sew everything together and cut then the ends off. So as you can see, I stitched these pieces together. Took me 4 hours for one, and yes, and these pieces are secured tightly by super glue and yarn, so it don't move. So the next step would be putting on some leather straps on the sides and then put the belt buckle on it on all 4 parts, because I sewed this together and this doesn't move. I need to put this on every side to actually use it to adjust the height and the length of the straps, and yes, and again, so other people can use it. So well, I want to mark now 25 centimeters off this belt and then sew it on with the buckle, and I also want to mark the parts where the big belt would pass through this, so it's nice and even and it should look beautiful. So as you can see, I marked these pieces and I marked these pieces and I cut these pieces to 25 centimeters long. And what I want to do first is to actually install the belt buckles. So as you can see, I punched here holes through and I cleaned it out with this tool. And now I need to sew the buckles, the 4 buckles, in like this. No, not like this. like this to make it a nice belt. So as you can see, it moves freely up and down. So as you can see, I stitched these together, and this is the most ugliest belt I have did. And this is one of the beautiful ones. And on the back it's ugly. So the next thing I want to do is to mark a round part here, so the other belts can fit in like this. You have here the belt which sticks on here, and this belt is the part which is on the shoulder pad, and if you put it through here, it would just hang around like this, and it's not secured. But if you have a thing like this, it's secured and it doesn't disturb you by whatever you do. So I need to do these round loop things 4 times. So what I want to try is to squeeze it so there's a big hole in it, and then stitch it from the outside in like this. I hope it works. So well, as you can see, I stitched it in this X stitch, let's call it like this, and I'm pretty sure it holds, but yes. And I need to do it 3 more times. So well, as you can see now, there is I stitched these parts together, and you see it's actually working. You can put in 2 straps of belt and it hold it in place. The next step is to stitch, don't know if you can, yes, to stitch the parts on here and on here 2 times to these side plates. And I need to stitch them now in the way. So this thick leather belt here would fit right in between, and I marked the places. I just need to super glue them on and stitch them. So as you can see by the light play, there is one big square, a small square, and there's a small square, and here in between is a bigger square by 5 centimeters wide in total. So it's actually a little bit bigger than 5 centimeters because the whole plate here is 10.5 centimeters, and these small squares, the side of them is 2.5 centimeters long, wide. And yes, so now we need to put these parts on here in the way that we can glue it on here and glue it on here while not taking much space out of it, so the belt doesn't snap and the bigger belt can fit through this. So as you can see, I glued this together and it holds in place. And I also tested it already out if this belt would fit in, and I can proudly say yes. It It's a little bit rough to pull it through, but it's still better than nothing. And as you can see, it gets through, and I have a really nice part like this, which protects my side. And the belt is really sturdy in it. It barely moves. And I need now to stitch this like I stitched the other parts, the shoulder parts before. So as you saw in the previous footage, I sewed this part, and this part together. This one I sewed next, and then I sewed the other part together. The same thing, just for the other side. And then I want to do the stripes in between the two shoulder pads, so it holds. So here can you see the finished parts. Here is the bottom side. This is the military belt. Now these are the shoulder pads, as you can clearly see. And here's also the same thing, just inverted. And now we have a problem, or I have a problem, because this thing is too long. I need to shorten this down and make it like a belt, so it can fit through these belt buckles. And then I need to put on stripes in leather stripes, so it holds and doesn't slips up and down my shoulder. And here in the front, so from here to here, then it would be like this. I want to put on some again another belt with a belt buckle, so I can adjust the height in the front. And in the back it's not relevant. So the next step is to cut two pieces by 25 centimeters, and the back side would be 25 centimeters, and the front side would be 25 centimeters. But the front belt, and the front piece of the leather would be cut in two, and other times parts of leather, to make a belt and to make it adjustable in the front, so it's better to regulate. So now basically I need to redo the same process I did previously, and therefore I cut two pieces. I cut these two pieces, and then I'll do the same you saw, sewing the belt buckles to the belt, and after that I'll show you the finished part. And then I show you what's going to be next. So you can see here two parts, this one and this one. This is with the belt, and then you slip this part in here, and then it should work like this. Yeah, this should be just another belt, and therefore I'm going to sew this. So as you can see, I have here the shoulder pads, and now I want to cut them off because they are too long, and therefore I want to cut off 15 centimeters from the front part because they are the longer ones. These are shortened down, as you can see, and now the back. So the ends are relatively the same length. Now is the important question where I am putting the belt and the belt part in. So where these three pieces are going to be. And I think the back one is about, this is the shoulder like this. I think it should be like 10 centimeters down here. And this the same. 10 centimeters down from this point. So as you can see, I did this part, and I just want to do the buckle here because on the belt it's on the same side as this, so you lock it in from the right side. Yeah, the buckle is on the left side, and the belt you put through it from the right to the left, so it would make sense to do it on up here like this. And now I need to do it the same way as all the other kind of stuff. So I stitched the one part together. Here's the belt, here's the whole thing, and this is the back side. Now I need the counterpiece to the belt with the belt buckle, and I want to round this out or make it like a triangle, and then punch some holes through to use it as a belt. So I stitch everything together, and you can see it's holding very well, and it's one solid piece of leather. And now the next step would be to cut off these parts, the ends, and make a belt like this, like I did here, with this pointy tip and the holes in it. Now it would make sense to do it like this belt up here with the 3 centimeters difference between this point and the first dot hole, I think, and then 1.5 centimeters each hole. So, good morning, lads. It's a new day, and I finally finished after 1 week of work the leather harness. And as you can see, I'm wearing it, and it is really comfortable to wear. And I think I did it really nice. The stitches are good, the leather is good, and yeah. So, I hope you enjoyed. Tune on next time, and now you gonna see some closer look